Today is Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. It is Yom Shlishi, the third day of the week, 26 Tammuz, 5785, Parshat Matot-Masei, a double Parsha of Matot and Masei. This is the PL-89 thought calendar, aka Mercury thought calendar, aka PL-89 Mercury Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar, which is a calendar that marks 90 days, 80 days that you see, because it's 8 times 10, and 10 is not shown here, in which time we are in right now. This 10-day period that goes outside of this is 80 days, again, 8 rows, 8 columns, 10 rows, and the 10-day twilight period, which we're in right now. The last 10 days of the month, so right now we are in Tammuz 26, it's the last 10 days of Tammuz, and it's July 22nd, the last 10 days of July. And the way this placement is that July is the end of the season. It wasn't always like that, it's not always like that. There are 3 dispensations. The first dispensation is where the last month is first, and the first month is in the middle, and the middle month is at the end. The second dispensation is where the first is at the first, here, and then the second is in the middle, and the last is at last. That's like the most straightforward. And ironically, it wasn't the first format that I came up with. When I first conceived of this idea, it was thoughts that came into my mind, and I transcribed them. This was 13 years ago, in the summer of 2012, and it was very clear the very last month of any season would be the first in this calendar. And then after Corona hit, which was 2020, then it became all of a sudden the most normal it could be. When the world was going chaotic and crazy, then this thing became very calm and at ease and normal. I mean, you could put it that way, but it became the most logical presentation of it, where first is first, second is second, third is third. But now that we're in the final dispensation, I won't say it's the final, but it's the stage before the final, because it seems that there'll be 4, but we're in 2, so 8, 4, 2, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, is where the middle is actually the beginning. And the beginning is the middle, and the beginning is the end. And so, reminds me of that kind of comedy skit, Who's on First? It's kind of a mix-up of things, but different combinations. But anyway, right now I've been focusing on this 10-day twilight period and what it is, and how the way I came up with the numbers of this calendar is based on verses in a passage in Leviticus chapter 25 about the sabbatical year, but I'll leave that aside for now. Right now I'm focused on the columns, the 10-day columns. Now these columns, you could say A through H, or Aleph through Chet, or you can say it's just 8. It's 8 of them. And then there's 2 more that make up, or sometimes even 3 more, depending on the month. But that's what makes it a 10-day twilight period. Now I pointed this out yesterday, and I have a feeling I'm going to be pointing this out throughout this 10-day twilight period, is that these columns have something in common when it comes to the 21st and the 25th, or T1 and T5. In that T1 and T5, any one of these numbers that you look in this column cannot add up to 21. Remember, T1 is the 21st day, T2 is the 22nd. If I look at this entire column, nothing will add up exactly to 21, because, very simple, there's only even numbers here. But all the other columns, you'll find digits, you'll find numbers in these boxes that if you look through the whole column, you'll find at least 2 or maybe 3, and you add them up, and it's going to be that day of the 10-day twilight. So, for example, today is the 22nd of July, so that puts us in 10-day twilight 2. So let's see here. In the second column, I see a 17 here. I see a 5. Okay, that makes 22. So that means I have 2 numbers, 2 boxes in this column that will add up to this day. And if you go through each column, you'll find, let's say tomorrow, for example, you'll find, let's say you want to get 23. So I see 17 here, I see a 5, and a 1. That makes 23. And that's the only way I can get 23 here, I think. Yeah. 33 minus 10, no, I have a 33 here. I have 21, 9, 37, 13, 29. No, there's no way I can get 23 unless I just take 17 and 5 and 1. That's the only way I can get 20. But that's fine, as long as some digits can make up that. Okay. Like we said yesterday, the 25th doesn't have it. The 25th, just like the 21st, has no odd numbers in the column. Therefore, you can't get 25. And I tried to extrapolate that from that it's interesting that in the year 2021, Purim was on a Friday, and of course Lag BaOmer was on a Friday, because Purim is always the same day as Lag BaOmer. And my question was in Tu B'Av. Tu B'Av was on the Shabbat. And the same exact patterning happens this year with everything. Purim was on a Friday this year, and of course Lag BaOmer was on a Friday as well. And Tu B'Av will be on a Shabbat, just like it was back then. So I'm wondering if on this calendar, because the properties are the same about T1 and T5, I wonder if that is connected to the fact that the calendars were the same in the year 2025 and the year 2021. It's just a quandary I had. Maybe there is a mathematical explanation for it. That's what I brought up yesterday and bring it up today again. And might even bring up tomorrow as well. And throughout the 10-day twilight period. But every other column, though, if I find digits in the column, it will add up to that 10-day twilight date. So T2, T3, T4, T6, T7, and T8 will all add up. Now, T9 and T10 those are really mystery days because they don't have any correlation to these boxes. They're just 2 or 3 days that complete a 90-day period. Because each reasoning allows it to be close to 90 days. I'll explain what that means soon. But in order to have a complete 90 or even 91 days, because in the Gregorian calendar, you have 31-day months. Like, for example, both July and August have 31 days. And if you're going to count this in a 3-month period, the 10-day twilight period is going to have one more day. It's going to have to be an 11-day. So it's still called a 10-day twilight period, but the 11th day is considered as no difference in the 10th day. It's part of the 10th day. So that's another study in its own right for these special days that are 31. What quality is it about 31 that is so outside the box? No pun intended. This time I really didn't intend it, but it's so outside the box that that it has to be considered the 10th day in this calendar, and that goes into the number theory. You could think about the 31 kings that Joshua fought. You could think about what else is 31. 31 is well, I can't think of anything right now, but it means no, like low, but it can be a name for God, Al-Flamen. Or it can be two, like El, to something. So I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. But anyway, that's what this is. So today we're on 10-day twilight 2 and 10-day twilight 6. That's very interesting because That makes 26. And 26, it's like, it's the name of Hashem in the Gematria, the simple basic Gematria. And I can't think of anything else, so I think we'll just leave it at that for now.